Good morning and welcome back to the show on a very cold Tuesday morning in January, but not as cold as it was around the holidays, somewhere in the middle. Russell Thomas in the studio today with Greg Halinda and Leanne Kumka from the Fort McMurray Ukrainian Cultural Society. That is hard to say. Is that what you call it? Because there's two, you have that, and then you have the Aurora dancers. Which is it? Are they the same thing? Leanne?
They're the same thing. So the Fort McMurray Ukrainian Cultural Society is the one, their governing body.
The legal entity.
The legal entity, and then they operate the Aurora dancers.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in. I know that January is a pretty important month in the Ukrainian culture. Tell us why.
Well, to begin with, Ukrainian Christmas is about the 6th of January, and about a week later is Ukrainian New Year's.
Why is it different?
Ukrainian Christmas, Ukrainians traditionally follow the Julian calendar. So the Julian calendar is, over time, has lost a little bit of time compared to the Gregorian calendar, and it's about a week later. So we end up with our celebrations about a week later compared to what we would see Christmas December 25th.
We were talking off the air that I come from a small town in Saskatchewan where the Ukrainian culture is very prevalent, and certainly a lot of my friends that I grew up with on Facebook, I could tell they were celebrating Ukrainian Christmas and are getting excited about the New Year. How about yourselves? You said you were both from Winnipeg, though. Did you know each other in Winnipeg?
No.
But did you grow up with those traditional Ukrainian things in the home?
I didn't, and that's kind of funny because my mom certainly did. In fact, Ukrainian was her first language. She was born in southern Saskatchewan, but by the time she was a working adult and a mom and raising us, she still had the language and the cooking, but we didn't observe traditions like many other families still do.
Yeah, and that was the same for me as well. My grandfather, we would go there for Ukrainian Christmas Eve, but over time, a lot of those traditions we never kept up with. So with my mother, we didn't do a lot. But then I did Ukrainian dancing once when I was about 4 years old. And then when we moved up here, I saw the sign saying Ukrainian dancing, and I said, I'm putting my daughter in that. And that's been about 5 years now, and we're kind of learning a lot of the traditions over again.
So Leanne is one of the vice presidents on the board. Greg volunteers on the communication side of the thing. And you both have Leanne has 2 children involved in dance. Greg has 1. And Leanne dances as well.
I do. A few years ago, we didn't have a lot of kids, older kids, so a few of the moms were sitting around and we said, why don't we do some dancing too? So we put together a group, and we've actually got 9 of us that are dancing this year as adults. We've got 8 women and one man, and we actually have a great time with it. It's a little bit of exercise, lots of fun. I think we spend most of our time laughing, but we have some great costumes. The costumes themselves are actually ordered from Ukraine, and the adult group is getting some brand new costumes this year that we get to wear, and we're excited to share them at Malanka. But the adult group, we learn some, usually every year we'll learn 1 or 2 new dances and from different regions of Ukraine and share that with everyone.
You slipped in Malanka.
I did.
What is Malanka?
Malanka is the Ukrainian New Year, so it will happen on January 13th. We are celebrating January 20th, just pushing the date a little bit. And traditionally, Malanka is the celebration of when the end of the year turns from dark to light. So you're celebrating that returning to the light and moving into the springtime. In Ukraine, it's celebrated with a lot of caroling, it's usually in smaller villages. You would have young gentlemen that would go from house to house singing, and they would also do some puppeteering or skits along with it. And some of the young ladies would often, they would encourage them to dance along with with the caroling, and they would also have to buy their freedom from the dancing with some food for the carolers.
Did you say freedom from the dancing?
Yeah, the carolers that would come would encourage them to dance and dance until they bought their freedom with food. So some of that is translated a little bit differently in Canada. We here in Canada, Ukrainians tend to have a big banquet dinner. So that's some of what we've got planned. Some dancing, some caroling, and of course some yummy Ukrainian food.
Oh, it'll be amazing. Greg, what inspired you to get your daughter involved in Ukrainian dancing?
A few things. I hadn't had the chance to do it when I was young. She loves dancing. It was very accessible in terms of the cost and the commitment. It's not a really competitive club like some other of the clubs are, which of course means more time and more expense too to participate. So yeah, it was a really good fit, and it was very family oriented or friendly. You get to know other parents and their kids just while you were waiting for your daughter or son's session to end. Yeah, it was just a very a great fit in terms of the social dynamic, and great exercise, of course, and really good instructors, the professional dancers themselves. So,
question for both of you: what has it meant to connect to your deeper roots, family-wise?
Yeah, it's been great. Now I wish my mom had maybe taught us even the language and more of the Ukrainian traditions. But it's great too that there are several families in our dance group that are right from Ukraine, so I get to pick their brains a little bit about. Well, I'll ask them a word, a translation, or how are things in Ukraine right now, or how did you do this kind of a thing in Ukraine, or what is this embroidery symbolic of? Like, it's just we have access to first generation Canadians that are born there and still speak it at home.
How about yourself, Leanne?
For me, I remember when I was little actually making pierogies once with my mom and her two aunts. And I remember rolling out the dough and having, hundreds of pierogies out on the table. And after that, I don't remember ever doing it again. I just know that we would go to the Ukrainian store and buy pierogies to have once in a while. And then now with my girls, we've taught them how to make pierogies, and even on the weekend we were making bread, and over Christmas time some of Ukrainian tradition is to braid bread, and I've taught them how to do that too. So it's teaching them a little bit about our traditions and our food traditions and some of the culture, and more than anything, we've met some amazing people. Some of the families that are involved, I mean, they've become some of our closest friends. And it's just, it's a great community itself, too.
How do you say pierogies in Ukrainian? Is it pedaha?
Pedaha. Or
Vereniki.
Vereniki.
Oh, I've never heard that. Vereniki. What is holopshi?
Oh, holopchi are usually cabbage, and then there's rice. Sometimes.
Okay, cabbage rolls.
Yeah, cabbage rolls. Okay. Sometimes some people will put bacon or beef or some different meat inside.
You're getting me hungry now.
Yeah.
See, I grew up, even though we're not Ukrainian or Russian, that was the kind of food we had at Christmas, and turkey, of course. My guests, that's hard to say, this morning, Greg Halinda and Leanne Kumka from the Ukrainian Cultural Society. They're getting ready for Malanka, which is coming up January the 20th. Where is the event happening?
At Shell Place.
Shell Place, and you have tickets available?
We do. We don't have a lot of tickets available. There's about 40 tickets that are left. Verlaine has tickets available, and her number is 780-792-9786.
Say that number one more time.
Absolutely. 780-792-9786, and she can arrange for you to have tickets.
And you're listening to Impact here this morning. It is 20 minutes before 11 o'clock, and Impact, of course, a team effort of United Way, Fuse Social, Shaw TV, Fort McMurray. Nice to have Matt back in the studio here today, and Steph is helping us out from 91.1 The Bridge. Welcome back to the show. We're really celebrating Ukrainian culture here this morning on Impact. My guests this morning are Greg Halinda, who I've known for years, famous photographer in town, but he's also very involved in the Ukrainian Cultural Society. And Liam Kumka, who's one of the vice presidents with the society, they are getting ready for Malanka, which is the Ukrainian New Year celebration, but they're celebrating it 1 week later on the 20th of January up at Shell Place. It's going to be an amazing way, I think, for people to discover the Ukrainian culture. Describe for us what the evening is going to be like again.
Well, it's a wonderful evening. We're expecting about 350 people this year. We start the evening a little bit early around, we open the doors around 5:30. At 6, we have our dancers that do a dance presentation. Our youngest dancers are 3, 4, 5 years old, so they're quite cute when they get out there. They have beautiful costumes that they wear with hand embroidery on them, and they get out there and really do their dance and sometimes forget their steps, but make it through to the end. And then we move through some of the older groups, and then we've even got Greg's daughter, Gwenna. She's in the oldest group, and they do some amazing dances. I've had the privilege to see some of their practices, and they are. There's 7 of them in that group, and they are well put together, and they look spectacular out on the dance floor. And of course, there's the adult group as well. We like to get out there and do some dances as well. Typically, throughout the evening, the dances will represent different regions of Ukraine. So the dancing starts with a pravit, which is welcoming to the evening. So we generally welcome our guests into our banquet celebration. Following the dancing, we've got some exceptional food. Some of it is homemade by our club. So some of the cabbage rolls, the cholupchi, are homemade, and we've got some pierogies coming in. We'll provide some other traditional dishes like the kutya, which is the wheat and honey dish. So you get to try that. Yep. Yeah. And then following that, and of course, there's greetings by some of our mayor and council and MLAs. We do have a family dance that follows afterwards. And of course, we do have a kolamenka that usually follows on the dance floor. So everyone gets to show off their own dance moves. And then there is a silent auction that we do as well, just to...
Yeah. I have to ask, there is the dance move. I think it's only the men that do it. The kick thing where they go down and they kick out their leg. I've tried it when I was much younger, and it was hard then. Do you have any guys that are actually going to do that?
Yeah, some of the young, well, they're all young guys, and more than a couple of them can do that.
Yeah, some of the dance moves that the young men do, they're quite spectacular, and we try doing it afterwards. We see them dancing it, and we're like, I don't know how they do those moves. But
how many people, kids, I guess, are involved?
We've got 35 dancers this year, so it's a good size group. The classes are good. They range in size from 6 dancers up until about the biggest group is 9. But
and how does it work? Do you do an intake at particular times of the year, and then they go through a sort of a cycle?
We begin our classes in September, and we usually go till about the end of April. We generally just have the one intake at the beginning of the year in September. This Malanka event is one of our bigger events that we do, and then we do go down to festivals down usually in the end of April, and compete with some other dancers from across Alberta and show off our skills compared to them. So.
Leanne, your kids are younger. Greg, your daughter is 13. And maybe, Greg, I'll ask you, what has the impact been on Gwenna in being involved in Ukrainian dancing?
Well, she's done really well. It's great. She seems to be a natural. But, yeah, she's really been, because she's had several very good instructors and some other kids that dance with her they're very dedicated. And it's a bit of a discipline, certainly, but it's, it's all about, I guess, being consistent and also showing that you're enjoying it. I mean, any dance, I think you see professional dancers, unless it's some kind of a somber performance, they smile and they're having fun, and that's it's a great skill just in terms of self-confidence and teamwork.
How's it been for your kids, Leanne?
My kids absolutely love it. They always look forward to Tuesday evenings when we get to go to dance. And we've actually got a third younger daughter. She's 2, and sometimes we watch their recordings just to give them an extra practice. And she always wants to say, I want to watch them dance. I want to watch them dance. So she loves watching them dance. So it's been something really that our entire family has gotten involved with in some way or another.
I know that some of the clubs and the various dance styles have a difficult time getting the proper instructors, and sometimes they have to fly them in and that kind of thing. Are your instructors local? Do you have to bring them in, or how is that?
We have had local, they tended to be junior, and we still do. In fact, my daughter is one of the junior instructors now. But yeah, we've had, from Edmonton, at least for the 7 or 8 years I've been involved, we've had instructors who will make the drive up on a Tuesday afternoon and be there for the whole evening for our dancers. And often they're alumni of some of the professional groups like Chedamush or Kumka. So they're well accomplished.
Yeah, Shumka's amazing. Before we go to break, if there's a parent listening, maybe they're not involved yet, but this is striking a chord with them and they want to find out more, maybe about the intake in 2018 in September, what is the best way, Leanne, for people to find out more about the process of getting involved?
Some of our best information is on the internet. So we do have a Facebook page, the Fort McMurray Aurora Ukrainian Dancers, and we do have a website as well. If you just Google Fort McMurray Ukrainian Dancing, and it'll come up, and that's definitely some of the best way. And then if you have any further questions, you can email us or give us a message on Facebook, and we'll let you know.
It certainly sounds like if you have Ukrainian roots, a great way to rediscover and learn a little bit about where you come from.
Or even if you don't have Ukrainian roots, we've had a number of families that have absolutely no Ukrainian heritage at all, and they come out and just enjoy it because it's a great experience for their kids or even for their families.
Awesome. My guests this morning, Greg Halinda and Leanne Kumka from the Fort McMurray Ukrainian Cultural Society, or otherwise known as the Fort McMurray Aurora Dancers. Did I get that right? Aurora.
You got it.
And they've got Malanka coming up January the 20th at Shell Place. We'll get the number where you can potentially get some of those remaining tickets when we come back. You're listening to Impact, a team effort of United Way, Fuse Social, Shaw TV, Fort McMurray, and 91.1 The Bridge. And good morning. And a reminder that if you're ever wanting to listen to some previous episodes of Impact, there's a couple of different ways to do that. The United Way has them all on their website, and I know they're available, most of them, on the Shaw YouTube channel as well. It's a great thing. We're live on the radio, but Matt is here actually filming us, and it runs on Shaw Cable 10 as well. Just really wanting to share the stories of what's happening in our community. And this morning we've been chatting with Greg Halinda and Leanne Kumka about the Fort McMurray Ukrainian Cultural Society. And I have to admit, I feel like I'm home because I grew up in a very Ukrainian place, and talking about pierogies and cabbage rolls, and the Ukrainian dancing was huge. In my hometown of Kamsack, Saskatchewan. You guys are from Winnipeg, about 6 hours away. The Ukrainian culture itself is very prevalent in that part of the world, and it's nice to see that it's prevalent here in Fort McMurray. You guys are going to have a great turnout for Malanka. You said over 350 people.
We're expecting about 350 people, plus there's our dancers and some of our volunteers that are there. So it's
big night.
It's a good night, yeah.
And that's at Shell Place on the 20th. What day of the week is that? A Saturday?
Saturday night.
Okay, Saturday. And tickets are available, but there's only a limited number available right now. And so the name of the person and the number.
Her name is Verlaine, and her number is 780-792-9786.
Okay. So don't wait. They will be gone quickly. And it's been lovely chatting about things like Nestor Pister and Metro, things that Nestor Pister is a Ukrainian comedian from, I don't know where he's from. He may be from Do you know where he's from, Greg? I have no memory.
I suspect he's Canadian.
He was huge.
Some way.
He was like this icon in the 1980s. It's been lovely. Now, in front of you, Leanne, you brought in a couple of different things. I know it's radio, but they're colorful accoutrements of Ukrainian culture. What did you bring in for us today?
So I brought in some of the headpieces that some of our dancers will wear. One of the most famous ones is this one here. It's a vinok. So you'll see that often with Ukrainian women will wear these. So typically it's unmarried women that will wear them, and you'll see a wide variety. They're often have a headband with flowers on them. The flowers will be local flowers that they would find from their hometowns, and they're often got some very colorful ribbons on them. Typically, the women of the family would make these for the younger women, and they would add ribbons of different colors which have different meanings. So often red for life, white for purity, and they would, depending on what events were happening during the year, they would make these in different colors. So these are some of the more vibrant symbols that you'll often see. But I did also bring some from different regions as well. So this one is a little bit different. It's from the Bukovanian region, so it's got flowers and it's got some of the vibrant colored ribbons on it. But they've also added some grass to it as well, which is something that you would find from the region. This one is. I'm going to blank on the region, but it's a little bit different. You would wear it across your forehead, and it's got some pom-poms. It's blue and yellow, so a little bit different
Maybe
region.
Transcarpathian,
it could be. And then I did also bring a headscarf. So typically, what would happen is once a woman was married, she would move away from wearing the headdress with the flowers on it. So she would often wear a scarf over top of her head, often when you're out doing performing in the community and so forth. So
totally meaningless on the radio, but the scarf the scarf matches your shirt. Was that purposeful? Like, it's totally
no, not purposeful, but a lot of the colors that you'll see in Ukraine. I mean, the shirts that I've got is red poppies, but often the scars will have flowers that you would see from the various regions. So
incredibly colorful. If you're listening, of course, you can watch this later on Shaw Cable 10, or you can get tickets and come to Malanka, which is coming up January the 20th. So as a club, you said 30, 35 dancers involved, lots of parents. What's ahead? What's coming up for your group?
Well, I mean, this is one of our biggest events, Malanka, celebrating the New Year, and we have an opportunity where we dance for the community. Following that, we would typically, at Multicultural Days in February, we would again dance for the community at Multicultural Days. That's a great opportunity. We typically, in the springtime, will do some dances for different community groups. So we like to go to the Golden Year Society and dance for the seniors there one evening. We do, coming up right before Easter, we often do an Easter event for the community. And with that, we teach the kids some of the traditional Easter events, so making little birds out of bread. So you'll see that when you do the fancy breads. There'll be, and the pasenka decorating, so decorating the eggs and the traditional method with the wax and dyes. And then typically in the springtime, we do go down to further down south and do a festival and dance with some of the other dancers throughout the province, and usually a year-end concert to
spring concert
to
first week of May, roughly, early May.
Yeah.
When you go visit the seniors, what's their reaction?
They absolutely love it. They love the kids dancing and the music is really vibrant and festive, and
yeah. It's awesome. My guests this morning have been Greg Halinda, who helps out on the marketing and communication side for the Fort McMurray Ukrainian Cultural Society, and Liam Kumka, who is one of the vice presidents. They're both parents of kids that are involved and will be featured coming up on the 20th of January at the Malanka celebration, which is at Shell Place. Thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you for having us.
And keep celebrating the Ukrainian culture. It's a delightful thing. You've been listening to Impact. It is a team effort of United Way, Fuse Social, Shaw TV, Fort McMurray, and 91.1 The Bridge.